What's up, everybody? It's HBT with the Straight Up Wrestling Show. Man, I just want to get to this thing quickly and talk about this. Talk about Vincent K. McMahon, guys. There are reports out that Vincent K. McMahon doesn't have anything to do with any more creative control. All that has been given, all of it has been given to Triple H, guys. So, hey, hey, man, I want to know how everybody is really feeling because, look, to tell you the truth, I'm like, hey, man, what's the big deal here? I mean, when it boils down to it, what's the big deal here? I mean, have this man really ticked off that many people? That many people in the Wrestleverse, in the wrestling community? I mean, look, I will go ahead and say that I didn't watch wrestling for a long time. I stopped watching wrestling for like almost 20 years, basically. Basically, I watched it every now and then. And I was a big Vince McMahon hater myself. But in the 80s and the 90s, I was a huge Vince McMahon hater. But man, I remember a lot of these guys, especially the Generation X guys. You know, I'm Generation X, but I'm in that upper echelon, the older Generation X guys. I'm talking about, you know, I was born in the late 60s. I'm talking about the guys that was born in the 70s babies. And maybe early 80s, like 81 or something like that, 70, you know, these guys that's in Generation X and a lot of millennials, but especially the Generation X guys that's a little younger than I am. I remember them, all they did was brag about Vince McMahon, Vince McMahon, Vince McMahon, love Vince McMahon. I remember when he was about to start the XFL, the first run of the XFL, man, it seemed like Vincent K. McMahon couldn't do anything wrong. But now, what we have now is, hey, this guy, you know, since I came back and started watching wrestling and pretty much got into this podcast with a couple friends of mine, all I see is hate. I've a lot of hate in the last 2 years, over the last two and a half years or so, for this guy. A lot of hate for him. And people just... It seemed like they want to choke him, like he just done took, like, man, like he came into their yards and stole their newborn puppies or something. I don't know, but it's flat out crazy. But you know, I'm talking about myself too. I'm part of that too, guys. I hated this guy too. I couldn't stand this guy. You know, I didn't blame him for WCW going down. You know, hey, that's a whole nother area there with somebody else, but I'm not going to blame that on Vincent K. McMahon, but I do blame him a good bit for ruining wrestling. And I'm talking about wrestling the way I saw it when I was growing up. And yes, was that a problem? Is that a problem now? Yes, it's a problem now because we are at the current state of wrestling that we're in. It doesn't matter how many people say wrestling is healthy, wrestling is great, or wrestling is so good or whatever. I think it's good, especially WWE right now. They're doing a lot of good things. AEW, every now and then, AEW does some good things. They do some great things sometimes. And I want to see these guys succeed. But man, you know, Vince McMahon, wow. This stuff is just flat out crazy. A lot of the same people I saw supporting him 100% and just bragging on this man all the time, talking about him. Man, they can't stand him. It's like fire in their eyes sometimes when it comes to Vincent K. McMahon. It blows my mind, guys. It really does. And so I'm like, why have such hate for such a human being like that? Even though, I mean, he entertained a lot of you guys for a long time, ladies and gentlemen. He entertained a lot of you for a lot of years. He brought you WrestleManias, brought you SummerSlams, Royal Rumbles, or whatever it was. He kept the wrestling business going, even though, like I say, he had a big hand in ruining it. But man, it is kind of hilarious. It really is. I'm like, wow. You know, all I can do is just sit back and just say, wow, man. But all actuality, do I believe that Vincent K. McMahon has taken his hand completely off of creative control? I don't think so. I doubt that very seriously, guys, that he's taking his hand completely off of it. He may have. I will be shocked if he has. But man, you look, listen. I don't care if they put it out there. I don't care if TKO Holdings or whatever that is, Endeavor put it out there, and I know they have. I don't care who puts it out there. Vince McMahon is still in control of that company. They don't want to let you guys know that, hey, Vincent K. McMahon has the final say when it comes to that company. Vincent K. McMahon has more stock. He's the majority shareholder in that company, not just WWE, but the whole thing. Endeavor. He's the he's the final stop, guys. Man, this guy is the chief. You talking about tribal chief? Vincent K. McMahon is the tribal chief. So, I mean, I don't understand it. I really don't. It blows my mind. But, yeah, this thing with Vincent K. McMahon, I mean, I don't have the hate for him. I really don't. Because my whole thing about it, my whole thing is this. And me and Chris, we was talking about this yesterday. I mean, everybody else had a chance. Everybody had a chance. Somebody come in and try to steal your territory, you step up your game. That's all it is to it. And I know he did a lot of sneaky things to get himself in position. He put himself in position, how he took companies, he took their talent, took their best talent and all that. I know he did a lot of underhanded stuff. I ain't gonna really say underhanded, man. Everything he did was legal. So I take that back. It wasn't underhanded. He just had a different way to play the game. And he came in, and I hated the way wrestling was changing. I couldn't stand it. I mean, Hulk Hogan, I used to love Hulk Hogan before Hulk Hogan became this, became the vitamin guy. You know, the say your prayers vitamin guy and all that. I couldn't stand that version of Hulk Hogan. It was a cartoon character. And, man, I believe it was a smack in the face to what he used to be and what he could have been. But could he have gotten as big as he did without Vince McMahon, without that character? No flipping way. Was wrestling going to get to that point? No. Was it going to get to the plateau that Vince McMahon took it to? No way. That wasn't going to happen, guys. That was not going to happen. So, man, I mean, look, I gotta get a guy props, guys. I have got to give him props. Because, like I say, wrestling would have never gotten the mainstream if it wasn't for Vincent K. McMahon. Not like that. You know, I mean, only thing you can compare it to, maybe go back to the 50s, and that's when it was on network TV all the time. And that's because it just wasn't a lot of things on TV, and wrestling was so cheap to produce that you could put a lot of wrestling on TV back in the 50s and early 60s. You know, with Lou Thesz and Gene Kiniski and all these guys. You know, believe it or not, these guys was household names back then, man. So, I mean, wrestling got to the point where it was just a Saturday morning thing. Now, back in the 80s and early 90s, and I mean, it was really good, and a lot of people was watching it. Like 25 million people, 25 to 27 million people a week tuned in to watch wrestling around the country. Now, if it wasn't world-class championship wrestling, I mean, a world WCW, Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling with Jim Crockett Promotions, or the WWE, it was Georgia Championship Wrestling, it was Florida Championship Wrestling, it was Mid-South Championship Wrestling, it was Memphis, it was so many different, Portland Championship Wrestling, so many different organizations was striving back then. But like I say, it was 25, 27, maybe 30 million people a week watching wrestling back then. In all actuality, probably more. I'm going back to like I'm going back to WCW, and I'm going back to WCW right before the Monday Nitro Wars. And so when World Class and some of those guys were still around global. Now it was even more popular. It was even more popular with local people, your local towns and things like that. So if you look at all the TV around the country, I'm talking about all the TV and syndication, they actually did better. Wow, I'm out here driving, guys, and some crazy people out here driving, doing some crazy things. I'm just, oh my goodness, man. Oh my goodness. So let me just, all right. But yeah, so yeah, this Vincent K. McMahon thing is a little crazy, but yeah, in my opinion, I think the guy's still in control, guys. I wouldn't bank on him not being in control, but hey, we'll see how everything plays out. And you can pretty much tell how much control he's in. When you watch the shows and everything, he was in control so long, you can pretty much tell a pattern of how he's done his shows, man. You can pretty much, there's a pattern there. And we'll see how everything plays out. But hey, guys, appreciate each and every one of you coming in, checking us out. But man, hey, before you leave, hit that like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell. If you're on YouTube and if you're on Facebook, hit that like, share, join. If you are over on Twitch, formerly known as Twitch, if you formerly on the platform known as Twitch, it's called X now, hit that like, tweet and retweet, and follow the Straight Up Wrestling Show over there on X. And guys, I'm gonna put this on Instagram too, so Instagram people, hey, do what you do, and we appreciate you, man. And we are out of here. HBT with the Straight Up Wrestling Show. Peace.